Joker is the most popular comic book villain of all time, and after countless comic book adaptations, it became an icon in pop culture after his movie debut. It was just a matter of time till we got a movie fully based on the Joker. And that is what we got in 2019, albeit with a lot of changes to his origin. 5 years later, we are here with a sequel to it, Joker Folie à Deux. When Joker came out, it was great. Almost everybody loved it. But it has turned upside down with the sequel. Is the sequel really that bad? Or is it just overhated? We're going to find out. Let the battle commence. Story for Joker is that a mentally ill patient known as Arthur Fleck, who is an aspiring comedian, has a condition which makes him laugh uncontrollably to the point he chokes on his own laughter. He's supposed to be taking medication, but a faulty medical system has failed him, and it's only getting worse due to the government making tax and funding. The story is told very unreliably, and strong themes of distrust and injustice are being conveyed in the film. He goes through tragedy after having nothing but bad days all his life. And it ends with a tragic note having Arthur Fleck turn into the Joker. And the story for Joker 2 is I don't know. The movie really doesn't have a proper plot, which has a beginning, middle and end. Random stuff just keep happening and there is no logical flow. In the first movie, you know where the story started and where it ended. Here, there is no such cohesion. However, I'll say this. There were so many opportunities within the film where it could have built a story on, but the movie just ignores all of it. For example, when the first witness in the courtroom was questioned by Harvey Dent and followed by Arthur's lawyer, it was going somewhere, and I was very impressed by the way both attorneys handled the situation. And I was like, okay, we're going somewhere with this. But then immediately, we cut to a song. Speaking of which, 50% of the runtime of this film is made up of song numbers, and most of the songs happen inside Arthur's mind. The story could have built its foundation on two things in my opinion. One, the courtroom drama, and two, the romance between Joker and Harley. But none get the spotlight. Hence, no story. And do you know why? It is because of the never-ending musical numbers. They start singing almost every 5 to 10 minutes. There were at least 10 songs in the film. A regular Disney cartoon doesn't have that much. Let's take Lion King for example. It had The Circle of Life, Hakuna Matata, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, Be Prepared, and I Just Can't Wait to Be King. That's just 5 songs in a children's film. There were twice as much in the so-called adult R-rated film. The story was basically a standstill. There were a lot of questions I had at the end of both films, but Joker 2019 gave answers to all of them. But you don't get answers in Joker 2. No, everything is ambiguous. At the end, someone bombs the courthouse. Who? We don't know. Why? It makes no sense. If it was a supporter of Joker, he could have died in the attack. If it was not a supporter of Joker, Joker's death was inevitable. The jury found him guilty and he was going to be sentenced to death. It was clear as day. As I told before, things just happened without any logical reasoning. So, it's clear, it's crystal clear. The movie with the far better story is Joker 2019. Whether you like the take of Joker in the 2019 movie or not, you can agree that he was given a backstory that was emotional. Arthur's slow descendance into madness also addressed a lot of real-world problems with regard to poverty and injustice. As the movie progresses, you don't want him to turn into the Joker, but you also do want him to change into the Joker simultaneously. But when he does turn into the Joker, you feel like it was earned. The whole movie was building up to this point. Add to that, Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Joker was mind-blowing. I actually went as far as to say that it was the best performance I've seen of Joker since Heath Ledger. It did not surpass Ledger, mind you, but it was very good. His murders had a reason behind them. He didn't kill people because he found it fun. He understood that the people around him used and manipulated him, and hence they had to get what they deserve. So, what did I think of the Joker in the sequel? Now, I have to give credit where credit is due. Joaquin Phoenix's performance as the Joker is still great. He does nail the psychotic side of him and the emotional side of him very nicely in this film. But that is all I like about him. First off, the route they decided to go with this Joker is just so stupid. The first movie took its entire time to build up Arthur as the Joker, and this movie decides to break it down to the last atom. This movie just made him denounce his Joker persona, upsetting not only Harley Quinn and his followers, but also us, the audience. I was sitting there in the cinema hall feeling like an idiot, thinking, what was the point? What was the point of these two films? Why build up Joker and immediately break it down in the sequel? And you know what? It could have been alright if this was earned, but it was not earned. I thought that when he fired his lawyer, he was trying to embrace the Joker persona. And that is what he did for a few minutes, until he just said out of nowhere, there is no Joker. And yeah, this is the time to talk about the ending. Basically, a prison mate comes over to Arthur and says a joke, and ends saying, you get what you deserve, and stabbed him repeatedly. And then the madman goes on to carving a smile in his face as Arthur dies. Are you telling me that this Arthur is not Joker, but the man who just killed him is? You made two frickin' films about a crazy person who is not the real Joker, but calls himself the Joker. And another crazy person was inspired by him, killed him, and became the real Joker. You have lost your mind, Todd Phillips. Enough has been said. The movie with the better Joker is undoubtedly the 2019 film. I'll get through this segment very quickly. The characters in the first movie were all utilized properly. Comic book characters like Thomas Wayne were handled beautifully, and they were given their time to shine. They had a purpose, they had an influence in the plot. However, none of the comic book characters in Joker 2 have a purpose to be there, including Harley Quinn. Harvey Dent is in this film, and he's an afterthought.
To be some kind of martyr. Well, he's not.
There's a small Easter egg at the end of the film when the courthouse blows up, where half of his face was scarred. But he should have given the proper spotlight. Remember that I said earlier that they could have made this movie better using elements of this same movie. Well, this is one of them. Harvey Dent was there, Joker was there, a courtroom was there. What better place would there be to make a Battle of Wits movie? That way we could have witnessed the intelligence of both characters, which are character traits of them. But Dent was just there as a nobody. You don't take high-profile characters from comic books if you don't give a reason for them to be there. For instance, the first movie gave a reason for the Waynes to be there. They even made Arthur meet Thomas Wayne. In Joker 2, you could have used another name for Harvey Dent and nothing would change. Harley Quinn was also underutilized. Harley Quinn is basically a woman who is interested in Joker, not Arthur. And as Arthur denounces his Joker persona, Harley becomes upset and breaks up with Arthur. If Todd Phillips thinks that this is a genius idea for some reason, he has some serious issue. Because that ain't genius, that just makes Harley Quinn look like a bitch. And she has no significance in the plot at all. She's just there to sing a bunch of songs and break up with Joker. So the movie with the better characters is undoubtedly the 2019 film. It is most people's opinion that this movie was a mistake. I agree, but this is where I disagree. Some say that Joker should have been a standalone film. I, on the other hand, believe that Joker needed a sequel done right. As I told you before, if they did something with Joker and Harvey, it would have been perfect. It would have perfectly set up Two-Face, and we finally would have seen the Clown Prince of Crime. And that is another thing that baffles me. Todd Phillips has said in multiple occasions that his version of the Joker is not the Clown Prince of Crime or any mastermind villain. Then my question is, why call him the Joker? Why call him the Joker if he is not in any way related to the comic book counterpart? Why use the characters like Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne, Harley Quinn, Harvey Dent, and set the movie in Gotham and Arkham Asylum? See, the origin stories of these characters is not what make them themselves, but it's their character traits. Joker is psychotic, intelligent and crazy all at once. We saw his psychotic side in the first film. But did we see his intelligence or craziness? And the second movie should have shown us that side of Joker, but it didn't. Heath Ledger's origin story is far away from the classic Vat of Chemicals origin, but people loved it because they kept Joker's main character traits intact. Jack Nicholson's more faithful adaptation was also well received, whereas Jared Leto's adaptation of Joker was not well received because he never mirrored the Joker. In the comics, he was never the Joker. If you want to make a character study of a person who was a victim of social disparity and stuff, go for it. We're not against it. Just don't call him the Joker. It's time for the final verdict. Joker gets a 10 out of 10. And Joker Folie à Deux gets a 3 out of 10. I honestly don't have any problems with the first film. It is perfect. But I should say that the second movie made the first movie less relevant. I'll end saying this to Todd Phillips. When you don't give the people what they want, you get what you deserve.